Highest truth. One thing that's true for me is that I'm always thinking about different ways to transform, thus the term tools for transformation. And I know that there's so many ways to look at sort of changing the outward tools, but what about how to work on the inside and really get the vibration correct, right? We change our vibration, we change our lives. Well, I've invited an expert here to talk to us about possible ways of looking at what inner transformation could be. Welcome to the show, Melissa Feick.
Thank you so much for having me here, Bonnie. I appreciate it.
So Melissa is coming to us from Sedona today, which I really have to admire you being sort of in one of the epicenters of this whole planet of a place where people go to do that transformational work. And Melissa, you are a specialist. I'll mention your most recent book, and we'll delve in to talk about the Akashic Records. It's called Akashic Records: Master Your Life, Raise Your Vibration. Okay, so a radical approach to the Akashic Records. So I want to know, talk to us about your description of the Akashic Records, and then talk to us about why your approach is radical.
So actually what happened was many years ago, I was downloaded with information and from the records, not because I was going there and asking, it just happened spontaneously, and I got a full download. And what they said was, it's time for us to stop trying to do lifetime after lifetime of transformation. And now we need to look at the karmic patterns that are holding us back from anchoring in our truest and highest consciousness. So what they showed me was how to utilize the Akashic Records on the quantum field or the galactic records. So it's very different. Most people read the records on the earth plane records, and it's a very different experience when you read the galactic records. And that's what I was channeling at the time, unbeknownst to me. But they said, we need to look at this more as an umbrella than just like one lifetime. Let's try to balance that karma and now the next lifetime, because we're just caught in a wheel. But for the ascension, that's what we need to do, is jump timelines by clearing karmic patterns as a group.
Fantastic. Okay, we'll get to the radical part in a minute. Let's talk about the ascension part, because let me make sure I understand correctly. I mean, like you said, what you just said, we have to look at multiple lifetimes, correct? To clear.
Not about multiple lifetimes. What it is looking at the fullest pattern that you've actually come here to clear. So the fullest pattern is like a pattern of abuse or a pattern of betrayal. And those patterns, we choose the family of incarnation who will help activate us to transcend those patterns.
Okay.
And if we can transcend the whole pattern, then we're transcending lifetimes of things. And it's really about letting go and transcending and letting go of those lower vibrational energies, because those lower energies hold a really strong, dense frequency. And you can't bring in your higher consciousness with all that density. So that's what they told me.
Okay, that's great. Let's back up a little bit to you learning how to do this and what it was like and how you started to know. I mean, there's a lot of subtle sort of practices within this that you're describing. And thank you for making that distinction, because it clicked with me. It definitely registered in a different way, the way I said that. And the key word being patterns. And again, inner transformation, everybody. So we're looking at these patterns. So were you able to kind of identify a pattern in yourself when you were first learning to do this?
Yeah. So yes and no, because I've always worked on myself. I was the, young person in high school and college, like looking at their issues. So I think that I've always had that in me. And really what it's about, it's what happened with me was I was a channeler. I am a channeler. And the information just came through so quickly and clearly. At the time, I was like, no, I'm doing the Akashic Records. Like, that's so passe. I was like arguing. And they were like, no, really, like, pay attention. And I was like, all right. And when I started to delve into it a little bit more, they showed me, because what they did was, because I was an open channel, they were bringing me to the galactic records.
Okay.
Because I didn't want to read the earth records. I've been there and I had done that for a while. But they said, no, this is the next level of the records.
Is this the radical part, Melissa? I mean,
This
because
is the
it's
radical
bigger.
part,
It's bigger. And I'm also hearing you say, oh, Akashic, Shmakashic. I mean, you were sort of like, is this really my calling? Is this, I mean, I want to hear what you have to say about that, because there's part of me that's like, no, it's just, it is ancient and you must know this. And yet check you out. You're all like, is it, I mean, everything's moving and evolving quickly. Maybe there's a different approach. What was your experience?
And that's kind of what happened. It wasn't that I was putting it down. It was just that I had done a lot of past life work, and I had done, I've been on this path for a very long time. I was very young when I started. So I was teaching a long, long time ago. And when they said that, I was just like, wait a minute, the earth records, that wasn't as much interest in past lives. They were like, no, if you use these galactic records, we can actually unwind lifetimes of issues in an instant. And that's what piqued my interest. And what they did was they said, this is about the ascension, because they knew that my mission here, and I know my mission here, is always about the ascension process. And if it's not in alignment for transcendence and ascension and transformation, then that's what my passion is and my love. So that's why I started working in the records. But when you work in the galactic records, you do read earth records as well. But they're showing you such a bigger picture, a larger understanding. It's the galactic records that, other lifetimes, other planetary systems, why star seeds are here, esoteric knowledge, all that is in those galactic records.
Is there anything in the records that we're not, that's there, that's still a surprise to come? I mean, are we, again, this is part of the ascension, right? As we're raising the vibe, and there's so many more people that are understanding these things. I mean, when I went to high school, for example, there's no way I would have known anything about even something like chakras. And I think that's gotten to be pretty darn mainstream. I mean, astrology, of course, got very popularized in the 60s for sure, and 70s for definitely. But I just feel like we've gotten more sophisticated. What's yet to come for us to learn?
Yeah. According to the records, what's to come is the evolution of the species, but not everyone is ready for that. But we need a certain amount to hit a certain frequency for us to jump to the next timeline.
Cool.
And there are a lot of timelines split, and a lot of, for also what I understand from the records, a lot of starseeds have incarnated here. And a lot of the young, like, people are like, well, 20s and 30s, they're like, well, we're starseeds, but nobody else is. That's not true. Starseeds have always incarnated here. They just, usually they are wanderer souls, and they are souls who, like, I call them the adventure souls. They're like, oh, I've lived on that lifetime. I've gone over there and lived there. I've done this thing. I've worked with this planetary system. I'll do the earth thing. Yeah. That's the wanderer soul. And that is the precipice. Most of the star seeds are that type of soul, because they're okay with taking a possibility on of human karma.
Oh, wow, how interesting.
Because if we haven't incarnated here before, or it's been a long time, we have to actually take on human karma to come into a human form.
Right. Very, very, that's a very interesting point of view. So here we go. So here we're watching we're watching this and seeing the possibilities. So, okay, let's go back to your early days of channeling. When it first started coming through, I love to hear, in my interviews, how people had this awareness. I mean, can anybody channel? I mean, is it there for all of us? But you just have to be open to it in a certain way and hear it. So let's hear your story with that.
I think everybody has the possibilities of connecting to their intuition, and everybody is unique in how they express it or how they use it in their life. So I think everybody can connect to their own intuition because it's always through your higher consciousness, right? It's always through your higher self. Now, channeling, it depends on how you perceive channeling because everybody has a little bit of a different definition of channeling. I think that anybody can be open to information, whether it's on the internet or in spirit. It really doesn't matter because it's information. It's not about receiving the information. It's about embodying it and bringing it into a heart center so you can live the wisdom of it. So good channels don't just channel information, they bring it into their heart space and create wisdom to share as well.
Yes. Well, and as I asked you that question, I'm thinking about other examples of channeling and that we say it. Like, for example, I work with a lot of musicians, and I think it's just kind of getting into the zone a lot of times. We reference it as, and they say it was just like I was just channeling. I was channeling this music, or I was channeling, John Lennon when I wrote this song because I was just inspired by his work, and consequently, that's what came through for me. So there's different examples of how that term is used. So it's definitely an interesting way of viewing channeling, because in some ways it sounds like something that only experts can do. But I think if we could approach channeling in different ways.
That's why I say that you're always channeling your higher self. Look, think about it this way. You're either channeling your ego or your higher self. You can make that choice.
Yeah.
Because everything, in my perspective, everything comes through your higher self. In other words, even if you're talking to a guide or an angel or the galactics or collective consciousness, there's also a piece that has to come through that higher part of you. So that helps people get out of their head when they're connecting to spirit, because they're like, oh, it's just part of me. And then they get out of their head like, well, can I channel the angels or can I channel ascended masters? So that's what I try to help people understand, that it always has to come through us because it is part of us.
Yes, exactly. And probably in the same way that we receive, right? I mean, you almost have to be open on a higher level to be receiving as well.
Exactly. When I started channeling, of course, I channeled the angels and the ascended masters. That was, back in the day when that was who you channeled. But I had this interesting perception around channeling. I was open to channeling, and I know this is going to sound weird, but I didn't care who it was as long as it was of the light, in the light, and serve the light now.
Okay.
So what happened was I would just start channeling all sorts of different information from all sorts of different beings. Like, a lot of people are like, well, Bashar, that's all he channels, right? Daryl just channels Bashar and that collective consciousness of that. I was open to anything.
Okay.
And I think because I'm an adventurer, that's part of why I did that. And I believe that's why I received that information, because I was open to receiving it without preconceived notions. But the funny thing is that, yes, I did say about the Akashic Records, but I was like, well, give me something that's like will really help people, not just tell them about a past life. I want to help them become all that they are. I'm here to empower people to really embody their higher self and their mission.
Yeah, that's I appreciate that distinction for sure. And I think it's pretty amazing that you were opened, like you say. I mean, it was maybe a little bit more specialized, and that's who we thought we were supposed to be bringing through. We're certain angels, we're certain ascended masters and things like that. And so you knew, I don't know, that's you being radical again. Right?
Yes.
No, it's a great way of looking at it. So there are different ways people can work with you, right? I mean, you've written a book, which we're talking about. You mentioned that you've done, a workshop that you did that I unfortunately missed this year at Conscious Life Expo in here in the Los Angeles area. I'm sure there's other workshops that you're doing. I don't know if you have anything coming up in this spring, summer season that you should be mentioning here at all. Do you have some different ones that people can find you?
Really the only thing I have planned is in September, I am doing a retreat in Sedona, a 3-day retreat, to bring in, thanks, to help people activate and bring in their higher consciousness and to utilize frequencies to open up their energies, utilizing Sedona itself, and also transforming, because everything I do is all about transformation. So it's inner transformation, it's healing, and a lot of activations. I'm kind of known for my journeys. I call them journeys instead of meditations. So I bring you on journeys to activate and bring forth all sorts of information from yourself, and activating your DNA sequencing and opening up your intuitive centers and your own connection with yourself.
Fantastic. Because I wanted to ask what it would be like. What are some of the things that we can work on with the techniques that you show us? So either you as our guide through your book or in person, ideally. And Sedona sounds amazing. And I'm going to definitely check out your website and see when that is. And that's melissafeick.com, right? Is your website. So, and Feick is spelled FEICK.com. And so, Melissa, what if I say to you, I need to work on my love life? Like, how does it work? I mean, maybe that's not what I'm supposed to be working on. Maybe I need to be working on, I don't know, doing my laundry. And then, I mean, doing some more, truth be told, transformation episodes. How do you know if you come with an issue, can that be worked on, or does it need to work more holistically?
Yeah, no, look, everything is a yes to that, because there's always layers to everything, and there's no short answer now. There's no short answers nowadays. There's no pill that will give you instantaneous enlightenment.
That's a good metaphor for a lot of things, Melissa. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yes, ma'am, because holistic. I'm telling you, that's what people want. They're like, just fix me. But the thing is that spiritual evolution is all about evolving yourself and becoming more of who you truly are, and less of the ego self. And that is what 5D is about. So what you can do, or what I can help you with, is help you clear your karmic patterns. I do clearings. I don't always have my schedule open. I open and close it because sometimes if I get more than a couple weeks out in my schedule, I'll close my schedule, and then,
Smart.
Because I don't like to get over, I don't want to wait list or anything like that. When you book a reading with me, I want to be able to read for you in a few weeks. But what it really is I'll go into the records, and I go into the galactic records, and I never know what I am going to see there. I could read for one person and they're talking about them just opening their heart. I could read for another person and I'm being told like their origin is in Lyra and that they're here to do this thing. I could be reading for another person and they could be telling me we need to work on their family karmic issues. So it's all over the map. And it's because this energy is all between you and your records. And I am just the liaison between them. So if you came to me and said, I want to clear some things around my love life, I'd go into the records and I'd go ask the records, because the records are, especially in the galactic energy, they're a living frequency. When you work with the earth records, it's kind of like a book, or, like it's already complete.
Okay.
Right? But when you work in the galactic records, what actually starts happening is those records they rewrite themselves. So when you clear karmic patterns, they're actually being rewritten. And then that will change your energy and your healing in the mental, physical, emotional levels, in the cellular memory, along the genetic line, in the DNA, and in the records.
Amazing. I mean, it's so cool. I believe this. Now, can you go into the records of anyone?
With permission. I really do believe in sovereignty.
Now I know. It's the right way to do it.
If you wanted me to read, like, I'm dating someone, read our records, I can do that because I can read your relationship records.
Right.
But I can't go in and read someone's.
I was going to do like
records.
world leaders to try to fix the crazy that's going on our planet. Help us, Melissa. Help us. I mean,
the thing is, those people, to be really transparent, I heard a couple years ago, I really would love to share this. I was told that who cares about leaders? This is the time of the vibrational leader. The vibrational leader is the person who is being the frequency that we need to transcend and to hold a higher energy. Because eventually those, quote, leaders that we call leaders won't have any say in the game, and they won't have any energetic pull anymore, because it's all about the frequency, and they won't be able to hold the frequency of the next level of ascension. And the problem is right now is when we're moving from 3D to 5D, there's a melding of energy, and 5D is all about like control and fear and trying to make everything the way that these people think they should be, including ourselves. We do that as well. And then they're fighting against freedom and love and connection. And that's just going to happen because they're two different energies, and they can't live harmoniously or in coherence, which is why vibrational leaders, and this is exactly what I'm hearing, which is why vibrational leaders, your job is to be cohered within, and then we help cohere everything.
Okay. Wow. And I think that falls into the inner transformation that we're going for. And I really appreciate the reminder. Thank you, Melissa. I mean, it's such a clear, if you will, the term clarion call to all. I'm sure people that are listening here really, I mean, do these different processes that exist for us to raise the vibration. And there's a lot of different things. And if you can't get to Sedona to work with Melissa, I mean, again, read her book, watch different shows, because there's a lot of different people that are working on this. Find communities. I think Conscious Life Expo in Los Angeles, being the size that it is, has a Facebook group, or there's groups out there, right, that talk and fuel each other. And one of the things I really am curious about also, because you said you've been doing this for a while, and before we started rolling here, we were talking a little bit about past memories, and I just want to ask, and it's like always a question I'd like to ask all my guests is, where are we at? Like, so you've got the great vantage point of seeing, years of this and people growing and the acceleration. And like you said, Akashic Records, that was so 90s, which I may be wrong about that. But I mean, how do you feel we're doing?
I feel we're doing phenomenal.
Me too.
And this is because we're on track, and it's not about perfection. And one thing is important, because it's like you mentioned, doing laundry. It's never about what you do, it's how you do it.
Okay.
Because it's the energy you're bringing to everything. And what we have to understand is we are still in human form, and there's still going to be human things we're going to experience within ourselves and within others. And the more that we recognize the bigger picture of things, that, okay, this is happening, and how can I hold my own centered space? And how can I hold love? I mean, I know that sounds so cliche, and it's so like, huggy, kissy kind of energy. But really it is, because I think we're doing great. And I feel that there's open yourself up to how you can evolve and be more loving and kind to yourself and to others.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest problems, there's two of the biggest things that are holding us back from that. Fear, which is really propagated in our world. It's like, when we hold fear, we can't hold love. And so fear, and also spiritual ego. We just have to be careful of those two things. And if we can call those out for ourselves and go, wait a minute, how can I still be in love and still have a clear boundary with someone? How can I hold love and still say what I want to say? Because we're still human, and we have all of those things. But yeah, I mean, I see the acceleration and the acceleration of manifesting and the ascension happening so quickly. We have to be conscious, because that is the next level for us as a species.
That is, yes, I agree with you. And I'm seeing it in a lot of different ways. And I'm probably looking a little more surface than what you're describing. I mean, I'll even just see people are like, oh, there's so much negative on social media. And I'm like, really? Because my social media feed is filled with, and it's probably just because I've liked and, sought it out, but now they're feeding me so much beautiful, positive messages that we're all sharing with each other, and, birds and doggies making best friends, and, things like that. And it is love, and it's not necessarily romantic love. It's truly just about the different, just a more grand love. And I think it's exciting. I think it's out there and around, and maybe it's not for everyone. And, going back to conversations about world leaders and whatnot. I mean, but I don't know. I feel like I think that the light is going to sort of prevail here. And I feel that you are a person that can look at a really bigger, like a galactic picture, a cosmic picture for us, and bring some encouragement.
Yes. Well, that's because we can't accelerate our ascension without holding higher frequency. The two don't work together. Like, you can't hold fear and love. So yeah, I encourage everybody. I think everybody is doing the best they can. And I never say, oh, you shouldn't think that way, or you shouldn't do that way, or you shouldn't say that. No, it's important for us to go, yeah, what can you do to help transcend that? Or where does that really come from to help you open up to the things that are holding you back? Because in the long run, even though we try to think globally, honestly, we're all here on the earth doing our own thing. And if you can accelerate and be at a higher vibration, you're helping all of us.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that very much, and a really, really valuable reminder. Okay, so tell us some more radical approaches people might learn when reading your book.
Basically, in the book, I'm talking a lot about why we're looking at the records in this way to transcend these lower energies. We are most of the time, Akashic Records are about like, you had this past life and that's why you have this crappy relationship. That's why you're making excuses. What I'm trying to help people understand is do the inner work, and then your external world will shift and change. You can't make your external world change without doing the internal work. You could have experiences with 20 or 20,000 lifetimes, past lives, past, present, future, basically, lifetimes, and still not do the inner work. So that's why, to me, it's radical, because we want you to look deeply at the shadow of the shadow. It's the time of shadow work is over. We need to do the shadow of the shadow work. These are the deeper patterns. These are the patterns that are keeping us in the lowest frequency fear and anger and control. And I have to say, a lot of people who have read my book and have told me that it's such an easy read, but it's super profound at the same time, and they receive a lot from it. I don't know why I lucked out and how it was written and everything and how it came through. But that's me. I'm a super deep person. I'm not a surface healer. Like, my healing isn't for the weak of heart, I tell people, because I will find those shadows. I will get there and I'll get in there and I'll be like, there's your shadow. Oh, and there's the other piece there. So I'm not for the weak of heart. And that's because the time of surface clearing is over. It's time to really like let go. Because what does everybody really want? They want those higher states of consciousness. And what's a higher state of consciousness? Inner joy, inner love, unconditional love, connection, oneness. That's what people are they're asking for. And then they sit in separation and fear, and that is from our traumas, right? And they sit in the lower energy fields. And I will tell you, I can see energy, I can read energy, and the lower chakras, once they start clearing, your higher consciousness literally will come in, and you're more higher consciousness than you are ego. And I've watched this with many of my clients over the years.
Wow, it's so profound. You use that word, and I'm using it again. I mean, it's beautiful to imagine. And I also love the term shadow of shadows. I mean, we're talking some deep clearing here, and having the courage, and I guess people just knowing that it's possible, and for them, that they don't have to be stuck. And yes, this energy is subtle work, and yet at the same time, it's really all we are. So it is physical, if you will, right? And even doing laundry could mean that there's more order and thus joy, and thus I attract accordingly, right? I mean, I was joking about it, but it's kind of a feng shui principle, if nothing else, right? So it's really, really beautiful to think about. And I was trying to figure out how to best title our conversation, particularly since I title it before we even speak. But I feel that you've really given us a look at how this works, and really not just we have to come to your workshop to do this. I mean, we do have a book to read, but you're giving us some really top level points of view to pursue on your own, if all you do is listen to this episode.
Absolutely. One of the things I want to share is that there's no place, the records aren't any place. They're right here. Like, the records are literally right here. Here's the records, they're not any place to be or any place to go. And I teach you how to get to the galactic records in my book. But one thing I want to reiterate, and what I'm hearing to reiterate, is that the records on the quantum are rewritten. So these galactic records can be rewritten, which means that you are no longer bound to the earthly attachments once you clear that energy. And yes, I think it is possible to happen spontaneously, by the way. I know it can happen.
Wow, that's great. I appreciate that little, you're bringing through some additional information, and I like the spontaneity because it does feel, you know how there's always the conversation about it's the journey, not the destination, and that the spirit, I don't know, the spiritual journey, that it maybe is laborious. I think that we all think it's got to go through the dark night of the soul, hero's journey, all of that, right? But it can take lots of different forms, right? And I do think this is all part of the 5D time of miracles at the same time, right? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. For those of you that are listening and not watching our YouTube show, there's a big, lots of nodding happening from Melissa. It's really great. Any parting words for us? Melissa, how do you want to leave us? You know, again, just sort of what is inner transformation? How to encourage people and let's leave people feeling really uplifted.
Yeah. So I'm asking, and what I'm hearing is there is no right or wrong way for inner transformation. It is unique to you, and you don't need to have difficulty or a ton of catalysts to make changes in your life. Decide in your heart and live more from your heart space what energy you want to be. And choose one. I want to be more kind to people. I want to be less, more accepting of people, or anything just in your heart and out of your head that will transform you quickly. And therein lies the difference between the third chakra and the fourth chakra, because the third chakra is all about fear and control, and the fourth is all about love and openness. So inner transformation, when you bring your awareness into your heart more and ask yourself, how can I be more heart-spaced and come from that place? It does. It really, I find that is helpful for a lot of people, because inner transformation cannot come from the head. It's impossible. The head cannot give you inner transformation, because inner transformation is the marriage between your higher self and your heart. And when you open up your heart, you're anchoring and you're connecting more with your higher consciousness. It doesn't come through your crown chakra. I used to think it used to, like, I have to open my crown chakra, I have to open my third eye, I have to be all this other things. And it's like, no, it's all about heart, because what good is information if you're not bringing it into your heart and making it wisdom? Because that's where the wisdom is, in your heart space.
Oh, that's just so mighty and powerful. Thank you so much. Melissa and I have been working for months to try to get this conversation going, and there's so much more, and I want you to know we welcome you back in future episodes as well, and see you in Sedona in September. Once again, a radical approach to the Akashic Records. Master your life, raise your vibration. Melissa Feick. And you can find her at, I'm going to spell her last name, it's Feick, melissafeick.com. And thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you.
Namaste. Cheers, everybody. Truth Be Told Transformation, we are here to really give a platform to people that are working hard to raise the vibe on our planet Earth. Don't forget, Tony Sweet gathers the community on Fridays at 3 p.m. Pacific for live chat, and you get a chance to talk to the guests that he's got on. And we've got Robert Hensley with new episodes every Monday, also exploring new books and other topics just to be mindful of. We are the Club Paranormal Network, and we hope that you'll subscribe and share and like and love. And I look forward to hearing from you all. We appreciate your comments always. Again, I'm Bonnie Burkert. And until the next time, Shine on.